Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner and Arlynn's Travels. How in the world are you guys doing today? It is so good to see you again, and thank you so much for stopping back by to see what I'm up to. And what I'm up to today is I'm going to talk a little bit more about our Alaska cruise. And I'm going to do a crew appreciation segment in this video because I think it's super important to talk about the crew on any princess ship, any cruise ship probably, and on the Grand Princess specifically in my case. So I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the excursion that we did in Sitka. And then I'm going to try, we'll see how much time I have left, but I'm going to try to go ahead and talk to you about Endicott Arm and Dawe's Glacier. Thank you guys again so much for coming back. Let me ask you straight up front here, if you don't mind, and we'll get it out of the way. Get a little business out of the way. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, I would so much appreciate it. I'm trying to grow both of my channels, and I would really appreciate it if you would go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like, click the little thumbs up, and then hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of my uploads. And my travel channel will continue on because we are going to be cruising more and more now that cruising is back. And we've got cruises in the queue coming up. So I'm really excited to bring you some traveling videos finally again. After our lull there with the pandemic, it seems like things are finally getting back to some sort of normalcy. But I would really appreciate it if you would go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much in advance for that. And let's move on. How about that? Move on then, huh? Let's get away from that business and let's move on. I have to say it's free though. It's free to subscribe. I wanted to mention that. A lot of people don't realize that it is free to hit that subscribe button. So I wanted to let you know about that. And so let's get started. Let's talk about the crew on the Grand. And I have some specific names here and some pictures that I want to show you. Of course, I'm not going to be talking about the entire crew because I didn't interact with the entire crew. All the ones that I interacted with were absolutely wonderful. And let's see where to start. I guess we'll start with our room steward. Let's start with him. His name was Ranjit, R-A-N-J-I-T, Ranjit. And he was on through both cruises up until the very last day. And then he was going home to his family. And I was so excited for him that he was going to be able to go home to his family. He had had a baby born while he was aboard. And he was so excited to go and see his little boy. He had a son and he was so excited. So we were excited for him, But Ranjit was both our room steward, and then Barb and Don were right across the hall from us on the Dolphin deck, and he was also their room steward. And he took great care of all four of us. Honestly, he did. There was a time, I don't know, several months ago where I heard that you kind of needed to request if you wanted the steward to come back a second time. We never had to ask Ranjit at all. All you do when you leave your room is you press a little button on the screen outside to say that you're gone in the morning, and he'll come in and he'll make your bed and he'll clean up your bathroom and, sometimes run a vacuum and just wipe down the surfaces and everything. And then again, he'll come back in the evening when you go out for dinner, he'll come back again. And he is on call all the time. You'll see a little card when you go in your room, and he is on call all the time. And all you have to do is pick up your stateroom phone and, you can dial a number that it says on the card. If you need anything, she will be glad to get you whatever you need. He'll be glad to answer questions. Ranjit was very knowledgeable about all the ports and told us, what was coming up and what we could go see and everything like that. He was so kind. He was so cordial. He was so pleasant every single day. It's such a nice thing to walk out of your door and have a hello there and how are you doing? And, have a positive just personality and attitude. What a pleasure. What a pleasure Ranjit was. Ranjit, thank you so much for everything that you did for us. We appreciated you from the very first moment till the very, very last moment we said goodbye. And we hope that you've gotten home safely and that you are enjoying your family and your new little baby. And we wish you only the very, very best. And we hope that we see you again on a future cruise, on a future Princess Cruise. We hope we see you again. Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you for everything. And I've been showing you a picture of he and Barb here. He posed for us, and we had to ask I just heard that somebody's on one of the ships, and I heard that the crew is going to be able to take their masks off sometime pretty soon here, And every picture you see with the crew member without their mask, they were so diligent to wear their masks the whole time. And I just would ask them, can you just pull your mask down just for a second so we can see your face, so we can get your picture, you know? So when you see them without their mask, it's because I've asked them to take their mask down, and they very sweetly complied, all of them. So other crew members around the ship, everybody is always kind. When we first walked onto the ship, I showed you that video where they're all holding the hearts and welcoming you on board, and they are all so happy. They are all so positive. They're thrilled to be working again because a lot of them had a lot of time off, We're thrilled to be back, and you can tell that they are just happy to be doing their jobs, and they're happy to be there. And speaking of people holding one of the hearts, I didn't even realize this, of course, when I first went on, and I just realized it, was Izagani was one of the guys that was holding one of the hearts. Izagani, I did not know, of course, and didn't realize until I got home and saw you on video that you were one of the heart holders when we first came on the ship. So let me morph on in here and talk about Izagani, our head waiter, in the Da Vinci dining room. Izagani was absolutely wonderful. He was full of personality, always upbeat, always so very good at his job, so very efficient. And he had two junior waiters there helping him. All the head waiters have a junior waiter that usually fill drinks or go to the bar if you needed anything from the bar, or put the bread on the table, refill the butter, that kind of thing, to help the head waiters out, Head waiter takes your order, and they both go back and get the food and both give out the food. But Izagani was absolutely wonderful. And Adi was one of his junior waiters, and Mark was the other junior waiter the second week. Adi got moved over to club class. And we kept saying, we hope that they're being kind to you over there. We miss you, Adi. And he came over every day to say hello to us. He came by every day to say hello to us. Also, I wanted to give a mention to Irina there in the Da Vinci dining room. You were so sweet to make sure that we went from a 6-top table to a 4-top the next week to make sure that we were well taken care of, and that we had that table for the whole week for the Alaska cruise, for the 12 days for the Alaska cruise. And then for we just moved over to a 4-top in Izagani's section, and she made sure that we got that table for the same time. We went at 4:45 every day. We were some of the first ones into the Da Vinci every day. We all like to eat early. And we only didn't go like twice, one because of the day of Jaylene's Alaska, our whale watching. We were on the ship too late. Another day, I think 2 or 3 times. Another day we just decided, we went to the buffet that night. Another day we decided to do the grill with hamburgers and hot dogs up on the upper deck. And then the other time we did the Crown Grill, which is one of the specialty restaurants, which I'll talk about later. I'll get back to the food in a second, but I wanted to tell you more about Izagani and show you some video clips of him. He would do little tricks at the table with toothpicks and silverware and wine bottles and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to show you some snippets of Izagani and his magic tricks, and his personality just comes right out. Enjoy these few clips here of Izagani. Okay, our lovely waiter, Izagani, has given us a puzzle. This is Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Mark, right? I got that. Yes. And Izagani gave us
I
6 toothpicks, and he made 2 triangles. And he said, by moving 1 toothpick, you should be able to make 4 triangles of the same size, right, Gani?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And Chris and and Dawn have given up, and Barb and I didn't really try. So we told him we surrendered.
Okay.
So, Donnie, what do we do?
Okay, so now I'm gonna make one move to make it 4 equal triangles, same size.
Same size.
Okay.
We're waiting.
I move one, yes?
Yes.
Only one. And I make it number 4 and a triangle.
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
Oh, is that the Roman numeral 4? No.
He made the number
Four.
4
Oh,
Triangle.
they're not equal size.
Four.
It's
Triangle.
equal size, same, only one.
Good job, Donnie. Woohoo.
Welcome back to my channel. It's time, 6
Izagani, take 2. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm gonna show you some tricks. I don't know how it works.
But you're gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna do it in a way, even I'm nervous or if I can feel shy.
Okay.
Okay, when you eat fork and spoon. Now I eat fork and fork.
Right.
Okay. This is married together,
Oh.
and then we're gonna before we put it on the stick. Now we put on the fork.
Has to be really fat.
What do you think? It's balanced.
Oh,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
it's balanced. Yes.
Our
having
video
a
is
crowd.
getting long.
People are coming to watch from all around.
Oh, this is from
Where?
Around the world.
Yes, we have the
from
Philippines
Thailand,
and
Malaysia,
Thailand.
Singapore.
Singapore.
We all look the same, so it's okay.
This is my show.
That was Mark.
This is my show. This is my time.
Woohoo! Look at that.
This is show
Wow.
Nice.
Should I blow?
Nice. Yay.
time. I'm a frustrated engineer before.
Uh-oh. You're
There's the big
fired.
boss.
Yeah.
There's the big boss.
This is a big boss around the world. Huh?
You have some tricks?
I put the whole top. You want another one?
Yes, sure.
How do you think? We can put or no?
Yes, we trust.
Yes.
Cross your finger. If we can do, we can do.
Okay.
If we can.
my finger.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna miss
Over
out.
your disease or else.
Bring a new one.
Yeah? That's
I'm
right.
saving my dessert.
Don't worry, ma'am. I already broke 3 desserts. Last cruise.
That was earlier.
Before my hand is not, when you're getting old, your hand is people. For you, we
Don't shake. Don't shake your hand.
The captain.
Oh,
Be careful,
man.
the captain, huh?
Oh,
Oh my, I'm nervous for you, Donnie.
no way. Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, I don't want to get caught.
Wow! All right.
Winner,
Woohoo!
the winner.
Good job. Good job. Yay!
Arigato.
All right.
I have. Good, Abel.
Here goes
Oh, you need to
Barb.
put your mask
She's
on.
going to carry it.
No, this is with a super glue.
Captain, be careful.
Give way.
She
Bring
comes.
to your cabin.
Yeah, bring it.
She's
you
going
said
for
right
creme
to
brulee.
there.
Oh!
No creme brulee for me.
Woohoo! It's Donnie. All right. Woohoo!
Get, get away from him. Man, you are talented.
You're balancing.
All right. Yay! We got a couple of knives here. Up. No way. What are you doing, Izagani?
It's
Oh!
It's magnetic.
It's magnetic.
No mind it. I get it from the table. I get it from the table.
Yes.
Yay! Woohoo! Oh my goodness, he was just something else. We were thrilled with him. So kind, so, I just cannot express enough how much that makes the passengers feel so much better. You know, when you come on and come to dinner and you see a smiling face and everybody's so kind. And of course we were kind. of course, we were kind and we weren't demanding and we weren't ugly about anything. You know, kindness is repaid with kindness a lot of times, you guys, you know, so be kind to your wait staff, be kind to your stewards, you know. I also wanted to mention Abel or Abel. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I heard it both ways. He was the restaurant manager. Chris, I couldn't remember what his title was. He's one of 3 in the Da Vinci dining room. And there's one like head maitre d', I guess, over all the dining rooms. And then each dining room has these managers. Well, Abel or Abel, however you pronounce it, Abel, I'm sorry. We always called you Abel. He came every night and chit-chatted with us and asked how our day was and asked if we got off the ship and shared stories of his life. And, you know, we asked questions about to all of the, you know, everybody that we come in contact with. We always ask, you know, do you have family at home? What, you know, what do you do when you're at home? That kind of thing. And he was always, all of them were always forthcoming and happy to share, you know, about their lives at home. And about how important their job with Princess, you know, is to their families at home. A lot of them send money home, you know, and support their family from afar. You know, I give them a lot of credit. They're away, these gentlemen and ladies are away from their family for 6 to 8 months at a time, you guys, you know. But Abel was wonderful. And I'll tell you a real quick story. Barb and I had been on a Royal Princess Mexican Riviera cruise a while, or one of them, Barb, I don't remember, it might have been on the Ruby Princess. It might have been when we were in Australia. I can't remember which one it was, but whatever. We had a spaghetti bolognese that we fell in love with. Absolutely. It was so good. It was on the menu. So we had asked Izagani one night if they were going to be serving spaghetti bolognese. And Izagani didn't know, and he went and got Abel, and he came back and said, we can make that for you whenever you want. What I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to bring you a menu for tomorrow's dinner, and you can look through there, and if there's not anything that you think that you might like, that is the day we'll do spaghetti bolognese, and we can do that any day of the cruise. And Barb and I were like, are you kidding? Really? That's our pool guys coming and going there. Sorry about that. It's our driveway right there. We're building a pool in the backyard. For those that don't know, we're building an in-ground pool in the backyard, and they're working on getting ready to get some concrete laid on October the 20th next week. So I've got a lot of irons in the fire. What can I say? But anyway, thank you, Abel, for doing that. We so appreciated that. And that was really going over and above, you know, what, no, I'm sorry. That's the Amazon guy. Sorry, we're getting a we've got trucks coming and going. Sorry, that's the Amazon gentleman making a delivery. Sorry. Anyway, thank you so much, Abel. We so very much appreciate you know, taking that step. And they did. We picked a night to have spaghetti bolognese, and we loved it. It was very, very good, and we loved it, and so appreciated the opportunity to have something that we had loved on a different cruise, you know. Thank you to the chefs. Thank you to everybody on board. I want to talk about a few guys in the Horizon Court, and then I'll get back to the food real quick. I wanted to give a shout out to Rodell and Prince and Jacopong up in the Horizon Court. Every day for lunch, Barb, Dawn, Chris, and I would meet up in the Horizon, and usually got the same table, and we would have a very light lunch, usually a salad or whatever. And sometimes we'd play cards after we were done our lunch. If it was a sea day or if we didn't have anything going on, usually sea days is when we would do that. And these gentlemen were so kind and always helpful. And what the waiters do up there is they refill your drinks. And you don't have to ask them to do it. You can go and do it yourself, but they're so kind. They will refill your drinks. If you want like a soda, they'll go to one of the bars and get you a soda. Or of course, if you want an alcoholic drink or a mocktail or something like that, you know, they'll go and get you that. They clear the plates, of course, and keep your, you know, and get you whatever you need. And they are every day they'd come and they'd chat with us, you know, and tell us about their families and tell us about where they're from. And, you know, again, it was so nice to interact with these these guys, you know, these three fellas especially. And there was another guy too, and I didn't get his name, and I'm just kicking myself because I didn't get his name. But all of you who interacted with us up on the horizon, who took my card, hopefully you're watching. I'm shouting out everybody. I'm shouting out everybody on the Grand, every crew member on the Grand who knows that I have a YouTube channel now. Thank you all for your kindness. Thank you for your hard work, your work ethic. Thank you for making us feel special for those few weeks that we were on board with you. Thank you so much. We were the last Alaska cruise of the season, you guys. I'm sure they were tired. I'm sure they were exhausted, but you would never know it by talking to them. You would never know it. So I appreciate you. Chris appreciates you. Barb and Don, Patty and Mike, we all appreciate you. All of us who were on that cruise, Linda and Claude, all of us that I know were on that cruise, appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you a million times over. And we hope to see you again someday. We hope that one day you'll come up and you'll tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, do you remember me? We were on the Grand Princess back in September and October of 2022. Thank you. I humbly thank you. I humbly thank you all so very much. All righty. That was important for me to do. I'm going to cry because I feel so strongly that we should all be so kind, you know? And as I say, a kindness will bring a kindness back, you know? They work so hard. Real quick, I wanted to touch on the food. Sorry, that's my ALEXA making a noise there. Not sure what that was about. Probably because I got a delivery, yeah. The food on the Grand, wherever we chose to eat, was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. They did switch the head chef, I think, like 3/4 of the way through our cruise. I didn't notice a difference. There was one lady in this, one of the groups that I'm in. She was like, oh, I noticed the biggest difference, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't notice any difference. I'm sorry. I did not notice any difference at all. The food was good from day 1 to day 19 for us. We were on for 19 days. We did not have a bad meal. And if we didn't care for something, let's just say because it wasn't maybe our taste or because whatever, Izagani would replace it. I think that might have happened one time, you know, and he would replace it and get us something else. And it wasn't because the food was not good. It was because I didn't care for the taste of it, or Barb, I can't even remember if that even happened on this cruise. Regardless, the food was superb. In the main dining room and in the buffet and in the Salty Dog, which was the grill. I did not do pizza. Chris did this time. And I didn't do Alfredo's this time. We didn't do Alfredo's, so I can't speak to that this time. Alfredo's is the pizza restaurant. I will talk about the Crown Grill in another video. It was superb. It was superb. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that just in case you've been in Facebook groups or whatever and seen somebody complaining about the food. You know, it's so subjective. It's so subjective, food. Everybody has different tastes and likes and dislikes, you know. We were able to find something on every menu and did not have a problem. And, you know, we're fine. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that. Now, I want to talk about a couple, Sitka was our next port of call after Glacier Bay. And, you know, you'd think everything's a letdown after Glacier Bay and after Jaylene's Alaska. Well, and we didn't know anything about Sitka. I had never been to Sitka before. This was the first time any of us had been to Sitka. So we were excited. And it was a very pretty place, very calm place to me. It felt calm to me. And we were one of 2 ships in port that day. We had reserved an excursion for that day through Princess called Sea Otters and Wildlife Quest. And Alan Marine is the one who ran it. And it was a very nice excursion. A lot calmer. I mean, it was a big catamaran. It had a naturalist on board. It had a guy in the concession stand who would come on the microphone and go, all right, all right, all right. He would come on every time. All right, all right, all right, you know. And then he'd start talking and tell us what, you know, you could buy sodas. They had complimentary, I think they had coffee and hot tea and hot chocolate. And if you wanted to, they had sodas and they had alcoholic, I think beer. I don't know. But I think you could buy brownies, you could buy chips, hot dogs, maybe hamburgers. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. We didn't get anything to eat. Chris got me a Diet Coke, my only one on the whole cruise for 19 days. I've really given it up a lot. I drink one decaffeinated can of Coke, about a half of one with dinner every night. And I've pretty much given it up and drink water or tea the rest of the day. So anyway, I did have one diet soda and it was nice and cold and it was good. The naturalist was lovely, gave us lots of information about sea otters. And we did see a raft of sea otters. We rode all the way around Sitka, and she told us about fish hatcheries or salmon hatcheries. I'll get back to that. And the history of Sitka was very important during World War II and all kinds of stuff like that, which I'm not going to go into all that detail. Highly recommend this excursion though. And we did see kind of a trifecta. We saw sea otters, we saw humpbacks, and we saw brown bears, which is kind of unusual. I do want to stress that about this particular excursion. They said it's unusual to see brown bears, but they had been seeing them for the last whatever week, and they knew where they were. So we went and we saw these brown bears. First out though, pretty quickly we rode up onto, well, we were kind of far away, and Chris was up on the top deck with, our zoom lens again. Please don't think that these pictures are what you're going to see with the naked eye. They are not. Chris had his zoom lens and he was zooming in on them. And otters are so hard to photograph, you guys. They really are, as I said the other day, because they move with the tides and they move so fast. So it's hard to, it's hard to catch them. At least when you get a whale tail, they kind of pause for a minute so you can get that whale tail. But the otters, they just keep moving. And so he got these few pictures of this raft of otters. That's what they call otters, who are all kind of connected together with one another. All of them are females. The only time that the females need a male is, when they want to have a baby. And then even then they choose when they want to become pregnant. That's what I'll ask you to Google that, but that's what the naturalist had explained to us. It was quite interesting. We were like, well, that's interesting. If we wanted to have, a baby in a month after we really were scheduled to have, or we could put it off. I'm not sure how that works with otters, but anyway, a lot of the mamas, we didn't see any babies on their bellies at this time, but mamas carry the babies on their bellies and they wrap them up in the kelp. They love that kelp. And in order for the mama to go and hunt, they wrap the babies up in the kelp and they just let them sit there, and they kind of just sit there, and all the other females keep hold of the babies and make sure that they don't go float away. And each mama goes and hunts and brings back food, Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And then after that, we saw a couple of humpbacks. These were the laziest compared to the humpbacks in Juneau. These couple, we saw a mama and her baby, a calf, didn't know the names. The naturalist did not know the names of these whales, and another fella. And we thought they were logging at first, which is logging in humpback whale terms is when a whale takes a nap, and it just kind of blows every now and again, and it just kind of floats there. And that naturalist did tell us that they could shut down one half of their brain. So the one half of the brain is working and making them aware of their surroundings. And, of course, they have to breathe. She said, every breath, unlike you and I, who breathe unconsciously without thinking about it, apparently a humpback has to think every time they take a breath. Every time, oh, I need to take a breath. Oh, I need to take a breath. Isn't that interesting? Seems a little arduous, huh? But apparently that's the way it is with humpbacks. So we saw these couple of humpbacks and they did finally die, but we watched them for quite a while as they were just kind of bobbing around there, We said they're the laziest humpbacks we've ever seen. And then we took a long ride through a really pretty area in Sitka, lots of green pine. It almost was like a fjord, but it wasn't mountains. It was just like a forest on either side. It was very pretty. And we went down to a salmon hatchery or a fish hatchery. And that's where we saw the brown bears. And it was a mama and her 3 cubs, but we think they were yearling cubs, maybe from last year. but they were munching down on some salmon, I'm telling you, and just put on a little show for us. And it was very, 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 very neat to see brown bears in the wild like that. It was very cool. And they were wet and, oh my goodness, one, I don't know whether you can tell by the pictures, but one stayed in the water the whole time. And pretty much the whole day. He finally did climb out. But Mama and the two cubs, and then there's one, you can just see his head out of the water. So funny. So we had a big time. We had a big time there on that lovely catamaran in Sitka. It was a very, very, very nice, calm excursion. We did not have to go far, by the way. Dawn and I were both able, Chris went out early and he checked to see if we could bring our scooters out or if there would be anybody there to watch them while we were, going on our excursion. And Chris actually went and talked to the boat that was sitting there, the catamaran that was sitting there that morning. And they said, sure, you could absolutely bring it down. So we had to bring it down, kind of down the dock, which our scooters managed that just fine. And we parked it right there on the dock, parked both of them right there on the dock, and were able to leave them there and they watched them. And the girl, there was a lady there that said, I promise you, if you leave me your key, if it rains, I'll just ride it right up and put it under a cover up there. We're like, thank you so much. And it didn't rain. She didn't have to do that. But boy, we appreciated the opportunity to have that done if necessary. And it was a big deal for me to go off of the ship. I could probably do it better now. But then it was a big deal for me to have to go off and walk. I was so grateful to Jaylene for being right there, and for these folks for taking care of our scooters. So that was lovely. So all in all, the day in Sitka was a lovely day, and we stayed there until 3:30. So it was kind of a shorter day. So we left port. I don't remember. I have no memory of what we did later that evening, to be honest with you. But the next day we got up early and we were entering Endicott Arm. Now, I'd never been to Endicott Arm. In all of the 10 previous Alaska cruises that we've done, I'd never been to Endicott Arm because so we were going to be entering the Arm at 6:30 a.m. I have no idea what I wore that day. Probably that red jacket that I wore for all the cold days. Anyway, we pulled into Endicott Arm, and I think we traveled 20 or 21 miles, I believe the naturalist said, back to Dawe's Glacier. It was a very pretty sail back to Dawe's Glacier. Very picturesque, and I've got some pictures here that I'll be showing you. It was kind of cloudy and kind of foggy at first, and that early in the morning. The sun was just coming up, of course, But then we started to see these big icebergs in the water, or growlers, I think is what they called them. And there were two things that I can't remember the name of the other one. It was growlers and something else that were littler. The growlers were the bigger ones, So I took some pictures of just an iceberg or two here, and the mountains look so beautiful. But then we passed the Discovery Princess on our way in. They were coming out. I can't imagine how early they were in there, my goodness gracious. And, but anyway, we passed them coming out. And then we came up to Dawe's, D-A-W'-S, Dawe's Glacier. It was stunning. Absolutely stunning. And if I can find the stats for it, I'll write it here. I don't have them in my head for this. This is the first time I had ever seen this glacier. The fog and the clouds had lifted a bit when we got back in there, and it was just lovely. It was absolutely lovely. Very blue. It was a very, very blue. You see the dark line kind of going down the middle of it. That's not due to pollution or anything like that. That's just the dirt that the glacier has picked up as it's flowed, down to the sea. This was a tidewater glacier because it touches the water, And we saw hanging glaciers on our way in as well, like we did in Glacier Bay. It was stunning. There was a lot of ice in the water, so we did not get quite as close, I don't think, to Dawe's as we got to Marjorie. But we were able to get some good pictures with our camera. A real quick story. We had we had water, a couple bottles of water delivered to our cabin. And the little girl came in, and Barb went and answered the door. And she brought her out. We were all out on the balcony, and she brought her out on the balcony, and she said, her little face lit up like crazy. And she said, oh, I've never seen this. Oh my goodness. Because the Grand did not go back to Dawe's Glacier anytime during the season. It was doing north and southbound Voyage of the Glaciers cruises, which did not go to Endicott or to Dawe's. And she just went, her eyes lit up, and she was just happier than anybody I've ever seen. So we had her stand, with her back to the glacier up on the balcony, took her phone and took some pictures for her so that she could have the glacier in the back, as we all do, Chris and I didn't even take a picture of ourselves this day. We did take one of Dawn and Barb, so here they are. And, but anyway, it was a fun day there at Endicott Arm and Dawe's Glacier. Beautiful snow-capped and glacier, hanging glacier-capped mountains, if you will, as we sailed away. And it was lovely. It was just another lovely, lovely, lovely day in Alaska. I'm telling you guys, it was a cruise of a lifetime, I think, because it was a lovely 12-day cruise, and we just really had such a wonderful time. It's also fun to cruise with good friends like we have been doing, and for many years, it was just Chris and I cruising ourselves, but it's more fun when you cruise with friends, I think. So Barb and Dawn and Patty and Mike and everybody that we interacted with and saw on the ships, on the ship and around, it made the cruise. It made the cruise. So, you guys, but anyway, still to come, we have Ketchikan, Prince Rupert, a Sea Day, a Victoria, and then Turnaround Day. So, I have a lot to talk to you about yet. Still, just to finish up Alaska and into next week. My decorating is going to be at a lull over there on my Country Craft Corner until after Halloween. So, I do have some more to share with you with our travels, though. So we'll just keep going. And I guess that's it. So if y'all ever have any questions, be sure to ask me in the comments. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions you may have. And with that, I'm going to just go ahead and close this one out and say thank you all so much for joining me yet again today. I very much appreciate you watching and for leaving me a comment. Please know that I try to get back to everybody, but if I can't, when you see me click that heart, you'll know that I've seen your comment and appreciated it and have taken it to my heart. And thank you humbly for making it. So I'll just say, for those of you who may be struggling or suffering with a catastrophic illness or chronic pain, I hope that you have someone there with you, taking care of you, helping you get through each day, making the very, very best out of each day. I hope there's nothing weighing on your minds or your hearts, pulling your attention away from where you want it to be or from where it should be. I love you all to bits, to bits, to bits. Hugs all around, and I keep you in my thoughts and my prayers every single day. And with all that said, I'll just say, until next time, y'all take good care. Bye-bye.